Hello, 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 Shirley Ross, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and it is Coffee and Cards Day. And the card I'm going to share is what I'm calling a book binding squash folding card. Now, I am using the Peaceful Days paper collection. I'm using Secret Sea. I also had some leftover Night of Navy card bases, so I used a couple of those and some Misty Moonlight ribbon, and this is Secret Sea ribbon. So you can do so much with this one. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to cut a regular, this would be considered a top folding. It is 4 1/4 high. It is 11 wide, and you're going to score it at 4 5 1/2. So that will give you the book binding. All right, then I am going to use a 5 1/2 by 5 1/2 piece. That's going to make the center squash book. I have two 2.5 inch squares. I have a 3 3/4 by 4 inch piece. That's going to be this front, and then I have a 1 1/4. Yeah, 1 1/4 by 4 inch piece, and that's going to be the part that's covered by the book binding. So the first step I'm going to do is get my adhesive. I like to, since I joined Stampin' Up!, I really like using liquid adhesive. Now I put my liquid adhesive in one of these little containers that you can get anywhere, any craft store, online, and it's just because I like the very thin opening. We use the white Tombow glue. Stampin' Up! Sells that, and that you can just fill it in to here. So the next thing I'm going to do is attach this piece, and it does have a direction on the piece that I chose. So remember that when you're making cuts, and this is going to be taller than it is wide. So the 3 3/4 will be the width, the 4 inch will be the height. So when you're cutting it, keep that in mind if it's a directional paper. I like the liquid glue because it gives me just a moment or two to move it around. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm put the lid on this. I'm going to grab my tape. I'm going to flip this to the back side because I want to put some ribbon on it. I just want to put a little bit of tape. And since this is the Secret Sea, I'm going to use the Secret Sea ribbon. So I'm just going to attach it here, flip it around to the back, and attach it here. Try not to pull too tight. Grab my ribbon scissors. I keep a ribbon on the side for the scissors I use with my ribbon. Whoop. Now I'm going to take and use my liquid glue. Like I said, I've really gotten where I like the liquid glue. Now this is not a directional pattern, so it can be cut pretty much anyway. All right, and then I'm going to take just probably about little 3 1/2 and I'm piece of ribbon, and I'm going to tie just a knot. Now to get a pretty knot, you're going to want to tie it and then really pull it tight. And that gives you that nice, pretty knot. And then if you need to trim up the edges, just grab your ribbon scissors, trim those up. And if you want, take the liquid glue and put some on your finger and just rub it on the end of the ribbon, and that will keep it from fraying. All right, so that takes care of that. So let's do what I call the squash book. So you're going to want to take the design that you want to show on the inside, put that up, and you're going to fold it in half. And I like to line it up, hold it in the center, bring my finger to the center, and then out and out. I usually can get a really nice, even fold that way. All the edges are even. Again, go to the middle And then take your bone folder. I'm using my old Close to My Heart bone folder. That's the cool thing about being a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I didn't have to get rid of everything that I already had. If it already works for you, keep it. You can always add a Stampin' Up! Item later after you've used it all up. Like the bone folder is nice. So I did it half and half, and then I did an angle corner to corner on just one side. Okay, and then you're going to take and pop that in towards the center, and then fold that one over and do the same. Pop it in towards the center, and that gives you what I call the squash book look. When I first started with Close to My Heart all those many years ago, the squash book was something that we created a lot of in my early days, and we would do a 12 by 12 or 6 by 6, and we would fold it, and then we would attach 3 of them together, and at the end when you put them all together it made a nice cute little mini book. This we're going to use in the card. So now let's do some stamping for the sentiments. I'm going to grab my silicone mat. I like to use that when I'm stamping, and I am going to be using 2 different stamps, Peaceful Days and Branching Out. I love the hello on the Branching Out, and I love the different sentiments. I'm going to use the Wishing You a Day Filled with Many Happy Moments. Let's see if it's going to fit first. And it's going to go from side to side, so that gives you a little bit more room, because this is going to sit in the card like this, so the sentiment will go at an angle. So that allows you to use a longer sentiment. Just have to make sure it's right side up, and try to get that on there straight. All right, and then we're going to get the Secret Sea ink. As I share with everybody, every month I have a new favorite color. And right now my favorite color is between Basic Beige, which is my color of the month, and Secret Sea, which is one of the new in colors. So I'm going to stamp like that from this one. And then I am going to grab, I like this leaf, and I like these little stars. So let me grab another block, and I don't see, let me grab one of my 1x1s. It's in here in a block case. Now again, I am using, well, I take that back, but I can use this one. I am still using blocks that I have purchased with Close to My Heart. Again, it's something you don't have to change everything. You can incorporate new product with old product if you are thinking of joining Stampin' Up!, which next month will be a great month to do it, because there's going to be a sign-up special coming. I'll have more details for that soon. That's going to be for October of 2025. So I'm going to stamp, and then I'm going to stamp off. I just want a light, and I don't mind that it went over that. There we go. And I'm gonna, clean that off. Sorry for the noise. All right, I'm gonna put that to the side, move this one in, and on this one I am going to use the leaves from the Peaceful Days. I love the Peaceful Days. I'm just going to kind of stamp off and then just add it. And then I'm going to add again some more of the little starry look, just to give it a little texture. There we go. All right, and then we need the sentiment piece, excuse me, for the front. And this is a circle, and I cut it with the nesting dies. I'll share the name of that in the description. And I'm going to use the Hello. You can see I have used it a lot. It is going to need to be washed. I like to wash them in lukewarm water in a strainer so I don't lose them down the drain. All right. That should be all of those. And I'm going to see if I have any. I did some die cutting and I don't see any. So at the moment, I did some die cutting of some leaves that I had on another stamp set. And I don't see them here. So these were the ones that I used, but I put them in here, so I'm not sure which die they go with at the moment. A lot of times I will take these, and because I can use them for lots of different things, and then I just die cut them in white to go behind this if you wish. As you can see, that's what I did here, to just add some texture. You don't have to. That's totally up to you. So all the stamping is done. Let me clean up that one. Excuse my arms. I like to clean them and put them away because next thing you know, you're going to have lost them. And we don't want that to happen to our stamps. All right, so we're going to take this piece, and this is going to be the bottom, so that's going to be the one that has the sentiment, and I have to find where I set it, because there it is. All right, so I'm going to put some adhesive on it. And I'd like to keep the sentiment or anything that I'm stamping not attached until I'm ready, because you always have 2 chances at stamping it, because you can always flip it over and use the back if somehow you mess up and need to do that. All right. And this one goes on the opposite side. It's just to give it some decor. You could do a plain cardstock piece. All right, so we have our piece here. So what we're going to do is make sure it's the bottom. It is, because that's got the sentiment. We're going to put some adhesive on this section, and we're going to do point to point. Center it in there. Then we're going to put some adhesive here and close it. And that creates your little squash book inside your card. And then we're going to put, this piece is going to go here, and I am going to use some foam tape. I keep all my extra foam tape because I have foam tape from all different places that I've purchased, are part of kits or whatever. So I use up all of these before I open a new package. Now if I was going to add some die pieces, I would have put those on here and then attached the foam on top of them so that they would hold in place. But since I'm not, I'm just going to put that like that. And then I'm going to grab some of these Secret Sea hues of blue flowers. And they don't want to come out. There we go. So you can use the dark ones or the light ones. I think I'm going to go with the dark. So I'm going to put one here. I like to slide them off onto where I want them to go. Maybe one right there. And I think another one right. Yep. That little one just popped right off. So let's put it right there. All right. So that just adds a little more to it. So just be sure and check out what you have in your stash. Use it up. I love, love, love these dots. I've got a little adhesive that was holding that down. That's why it keeps sticking to it. When I go to put it back in, you're not seeing all the fight I'm having here. I think what I'm going to do is take that, just put that adhesive on my pants. There we go. Now they won't stick, so then I can slide them in and out. And that is it. That is the card for our Technique Tuesday for this month, or for this week. And I will see you again next week for another card. And look for a cute card on Saturday. Use your stash. I have one coming up for that. So have a great day, and I will see you again soon. This is Shirley Ross, Stampin' Up! Demonstrator.